say look up in the river bank, and wishes inside we borrow. May your road be long and wide, and your trouble short and narrow. I have missed you, I have missed you, I have missed you, now you're gone.
Compassionate and true, where'er I go, I love you, sweet Listowel, and doff my distant cap each day to you. Down by the field the willows dip their wands, through mountain breeze where first the night wind sighs. How oft I've roamed along your moonlit lays, where all love blooms and all love never dies. My heart is light and gay, for it's soon I'll see the moonbeam a dance on Dingle Bay. Behind me then is London with its magic of its night, and before me is a window filled with Kerry candlelight. It's the lovely light of glory that came down from heaven on high. Whenever I recall it, there's a teardrop in my eye by the mountainside.
Ink was a piece penned originally for inclusion in the RT Hometown series back in the early 1970s at the behest of Micheál Hay. Written by the then radio producer of Listowel native Tim Danher, the piece resonated with the pride of his place and the pride of the people who had contributed to the literary lore of the area for many, many years. The piece is in the main narrated by Eamon Keane, the late Eamon Keane, the great Eamon Keane from Church Street, and Tim Danher. And Eamon told me one time that the reason Eamon was brought in was he had a better voice than Danher, but he said Danher was probably a better writer. I think there's no better way to start today's walk. On the remainder of the walk, we will remember the words of all our writers that are no longer with us. And we'll also listen to those who have picked up the torch and are now the new voices of the gift of ink. So we'll give 10 minutes of listening to the gift of ink. Thank you.
And if only the all-seeing God had seen fit to send us a man with the gift of ink, then maybe the story of our small wonders would go shouting through the borders of the nations.
Down in the southwest corner of Ireland is the county of Kerry, a sometimes wild but always beautiful land. In winter it is lashed and in summer caressed by the Atlantic waves. In Ireland we call it the Kingdom of Kerry. As no other county in Ireland dares call itself a kingdom, we might be considered proud, even arrogant.
Of Listowel, the historians, and many more in different ways. And thank you again, Vincent, for organising this very successful walk. I thought there may be about 20 or 30 on it, but its success is obvious here from the number of people that's on it. So, the man that lived here was Patrick Fitzmaurice. He was born about 1551. That is the general date of his birth. Now, the Elizabethans had a policy to take young, noble men over to the court in England, to bring them up as young English gentlemen, so that when they come back to Ireland, they would remain loyal to the Crown. So Patrick Fitzmaurice was taken to London, and he put on the velvets and the robes, and he got very much accustomed to the Elizabethan palaces at the time. It was a great Renaissance period, and he came back here to Listowel. But such was life in North Kerry and Listowel that he threw away the velvets and the cloaks, and he became native again. So he put on the brogues and the rags and so on, and then he took up arms against Queen Elizabeth and was part of the Desmond Rebellion, which incidentally was one of the cruelest wars there was ever in Ireland. But why did he do that? Well, 3 poets came here to the castle, probably around 1580. It could have been the first Writers' Week, really, because they came for 3 days and they spent 6 months here. So why did they spend 6 months here? Well, life was so good in North Kerry, and one of them, MacDarragh the Brooder, wrote a poem about it. And in that poem he spoke about drinking wine from golden goblets, reading poetry with courts of poets, hunting the stag around North Kerry, fishing in the River Field, walking the beach in Ballybunion, and lying down by the side of the verdant field. So life was very good. So the poet said the reason why Fitzmaurice gave up his velvets and so on and became native, because life was so good here in North Kerry. It probably was. There is a reason why Listowel is, the Athens of Ireland, and this is Patrick Fitzmaurice. And maybe it was the Elizabethans getting their own back on Fitzmaurice, because he makes an entrance onto the stage, doesn't say too much. One of his key lines is, "Be Christ, there are throats to be cut." But he's depicted as a barbarian, and he struts around the stage and then he goes off of it. So that's in Henry V by Shakespeare.
Something to be, well, he's not so great, and my father didn't want to make an example, or he did make an example of us, and so we got through it. My father's main enthusiasm in school, he's looking back now, his methods of teaching were really very far-sighted. They were really advanced in thinking, stimulating children really to an excellent degree. Music was a big thing. And at the end of the day, he would never like to leave children go home in bad humour, so he'd always sing a song. And these songs still remember. I remember Thomas Moore, I remember Kelly the boy from Killan, and I remember little things like when reading Thomas Moore, you mustn't read line by line. When all the friends so linked together I have seen around before, like leaves in wintry weather. You must continue it on. I feel like one who treads alone some banquet hall deserted, whose lights are fled and garlands dead, and all but he departed.
Vote of congratulations for the work that he does. Our distant past is only kept alive, is only brought back to us through the work of people like Vincent Carmody, and there are people like him all over the country patiently digging into local archives, gathering the stories of older people, and it's a shame to see that part of us vanish. My father loved this place, even though, as my Uncle Dennis reminded me recently, he left one morning in the early 1940s without telling a soul. He just got up, left the house on Church Street and went to Dublin to follow his dream of becoming an actor. He left Listowel, but Listowel never left him. And it was very fitting that towards the end of his life, he came back here to die, like the salmon returning up the river. This was a piece that he wrote remembering an incident in his childhood. And my father had a very lyrical, sometimes romanticized view of the past. And it comes across very profoundly in this piece. It's called A Look Down the Chimney of Time. Sometime in the late 1930s, John Duffy's circus, then at the height of its colourful majesty, preceded by a band playing Marching Through Georgia, paraded down Church Street, Listowel, preliminary to a grand tour of the town. A quartet of nubile maidens on horseback exchanged mounts every so often with astounding agility, a feat accomplished with...
But it's all Church Street with everybody here, I notice. There's a bit of Church Street itis going on, and I would like to stand up for William Street. It's a street of character, of idiosyncrasy, of colour, and there are many, many, many wonderful people who live in William Street. In fact, our very own Vincent lives in Upper William Street. We have an upper and a lower and a middle. And Laura Canty has a pub over here, the Sheepeen. She says it's the best street in the town. But I suppose we have to compromise, because here we are on Main Street, and I suppose that this is the kind of the meeting of the waters between the two streets. But John B. did live in William Street for nearly, I suppose, 92.
A winded tube and taps full of rhythm with both feet. At Potter's Shed, waiting nettle sting. Under an elder tree, stray stones crush the red haw, and childhood trails of Navajo and Comanche appear. Above a sycamore, a crow hawks, and distant sounds from the market trumpet children wild at play. Suddenly the lane twists and the river peeps. At Mary B's, a young girl feeds pigs from a galvanized bucket. She teeters under the weight of brimming swill. Who is she? Where did she come from? Does anybody know? Does anybody care? Below the cattle pens, a Charlie shouts, "Show me a few copper, sir, and I'll show you Molly." Dock leaves mark the stone slabs where Fairday farmers once lorded over the town sewer. A gargoyle spews bile on the river. On the waterfront, a fierce flood bustles. Brown mud licks the nervous edge. Spillers vie for space on narrow banks. A young boy wrestles a twisting hoop and cuts a curling conker from its clasp. Buttresses on the bridge break foam. The river turns on itself like a plough opening.
It's only a small town, but we were big enough to have 4 separate football teams. The Borough, the Glown, the Country and the Ashes. And there was a town league that ran for many, many years, but it had to be abandoned several times because of concerns over health and safety of the various people from various streets of the town, such was the rivalry. I'm going to read a very short piece from Brian McMahon. Brian McMahon, who lived to the ripe old age of 88, who passed away I think in 1998, taught my father. My father is still hale and hearty, thank God, and he's 92 years of age. But he taught my father, and he was still teaching in the school when I attended there back in the mid-1970s. So his legacy to the town is huge, his influence over the town was huge, and his memory and that of John B's and all the other writers that we have here in North Kerry will go on forever. But as Vincent says, behind me is the mart. It was the market up until very, very recently. Thursday was Mart Day. In fact, on other days during the year, there would be horse fairs here in Market Street, and the whole town would come to a standstill. They still continue. How many a year? How many horse fairs a year? 4 horse fairs a year still going on. Something to be seen on your next return visit to Listowel. You can plan it around. But this is from The Story Man by Brian McMahon. And
a whisper from Lord Curzon's ghost. The Empire's gone. The Union Jack no longer flies in Sarawak. In spite of this, I think I'd still be seen to lift my glass to toast the British Queen, the banner and Kerspink.
I don't think he ever got anything published, but Vincent dug him up from the past and asked me if I would do the honour of reciting from 2 of his poems. So I'll just read a few short verses from 2 poems. One has the subject has already been referred to twice, on Glown versus the Borough, a poem on that, which was written by Jack in 1953. Jack was called Jack Nash. His real name was Sean Ash, but because when you live in a certain part of the town, John becomes Jack and Ash becomes Nash, because they run better together. It's as simple as that. But this is in memory of my uncle Jack Nash.
For John B. Keane, Joanna read one of his poems earlier, and this is a little poem he wrote called The Street. He said it was the first poem he ever finished, and it was about growing up in Church Street. So it's a sort of a response to that. And it also responds to something I suppose that I thought as growing up in the town back in the Glown, was that Listowel was a town of festivals. There was the Fleadh Cheoil when I was here, there was St. John's was just starting off, there was the races, and then there was Writers' Week as well. But in between all these festivals was when the work got done, and I suppose we used to see John B. walking back the road every day for an hour or two before he got up and did his writing. And a sense that writing took work, and it was a town where people knew how to work and people knew how to play. And this is a poem about the end of the races, and it features birds, which was the circus which used to take over the mark behind us during the races. The Street, for John B. Keane.